So in this video I'm going to explain how to choose the wood for for your ribs with regard to the grain orientation. Okay, so basically the easiest and most common way is, say we have a 3 centimeter width of the rib will be 3 centimeters. So that'll be 3 centimeters from there to there. And you need a piece of wood, like if you can find a piece of wood, this has got to be about 80 or so long. Okay? 80 or so long, 3 centimeters. And, you know, you got 18 ribs, so you want to make about 25 ribs or so in total, because you're going to have extra ribs. So usually you can find planks of wood like this that have the grain sort of going like this, you know, like maybe completely vertical, but usually just a little bit of a curve there. That's very easy to find wood like this, you know, and then you just cut them in strips 2.5 millimeters long. So that should not be so difficult. If you have a piece of wood like this, and this is what you have available to you, same kind of piece or something like that, and the grain is going like this, you know, something that you would use for making the sides of a guitar or something like that, when you would cut the strips off like this, right? Okay, if you have this kind of grain orientation, what you can do is, now I'm going to draw a picture of this surface, okay, just like this, looking at it from the top, okay? Looking at it from the top, this surface, you know, and you sort of have like this going down like that. But that would be this surface, okay? So you see the grain is vertical grain. So what you can do then, especially if you have a band saw, and this is actually a way that you can actually make your ribs with less wastage. So you have your rib shape template, and you put that on this surface, okay? So you put it on that side. See, when you're doing it this way, your ribs are going to be, like, that's going to be the face of the rib, okay? You cut like this. But in this way, you want to switch it, so you have the face of the rib will be there, you see? So that way you'll end up with a vertical grain, right? Because the face of the rib will be there, not from the side. Okay, so how you can do this to save some wood is you put your rib-shaped template on this side, okay, this side. You put the rib-shaped template on, and you draw it out. So you'll end up with something sort of like this, and this will be something sort of like this. This is the fat part, and then it narrows like crazy, narrows down. So it's going to look something like that. You put that on, and then you can put the rib-shaped template on with the fat side over here. You see? Go like this. And then it narrows out. So you actually save wood. See, that's the fat side, and then it narrows out like crazy. This is pretty long and skinny. And then you can just draw that with a pencil, and then you just take that and cut along those lines with your bandsaw. Okay? So then you'll end up with something that looks like something like this. Okay, you'll end up with something that looks like that. And then what you do is you flip that aside and cut. So you take that, flip it on its side, and cut it. And so then you'll end up with because the grain is like that, and then when you cut, see, the grain is, so when you cut it like that, you'll end up with quarter sawn grain. So the point is that there are two ways. If you have, this is usually the easy way, when you have the grain going like this, and then you cut it like this. But if you have the wood, which is grain going like this, you can cut it like this. I mean, you can also just lop off a huge piece of that, you know, and just lop off. But this way, when you put the template on there. You can actually save a lot of wood that way. Okay? Now the third possibility is when you have a piece of wood like this, and you have the grain going like 45 degrees. Okay? Something like that. 45 degrees. So in this case, it's not ideal, but you could cut it any way. You could cut it from the top or cut it from the side. You can still use that if it's 45 degrees. What you want to do is, you'll never have it perfectly 45 degrees. It'll be either like maybe 50 degrees, slightly more this way. If it's slightly more this way, then cut it from here. Or if it's slightly more this way, then cut it, cut it from the top, cut it that way. So that's okay, I mean, the only thing about when it's 45 degrees is that sometimes you can run in, it's a little more difficult for bending. Like when you have perfectly vertical, the bending is very much more easy. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to say is that let's say in the extreme case, like in either case, in any case, if you use this system, or this system, or this system, in either case, you want to strictly keep track of every rib that you cut, okay, in sequence, like number it somehow. After you cut the rib, mark the number and the side, okay, like always, for example, make it consistent. Put the number on the same side. So if you cut from here, put it number 1, cut it off. Next one, the same side, number 2. Next one, same side, number 3. Okay, so then after you have all your ribs, then what you do is you put them all on your bench. Okay, you go 1, 2, 3. Okay, you put them all on your bench. Okay, now as a hard and fast rule, so what you did is you marked, after you cut each rib, you marked on it the number and on the same side every time. Okay, so what you want to do then is you'll put them in sequence. So you'll have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay? So then what you're going to do is that's good to have it in perfect sequence like that. Yeah, I mean, you might not be that lucky that it will work out that way, but that's a good try, because you might break this rib and you might have to substitute over, but at least get them as in sequence as possible. And what's even more important than the sequence is the side that you use. So you'll have the first one. If you have the first one up, so the first one can either be up or turned upside down, in which case you won't see the number. Okay. What you could do is you could do, like on one side, put 1 and have a circle. So that would be, you put them all down there and you have a circle. And then on the opposite side, just put 1 and a square or something like that. So just mark them differently. The same number, but each side would be marked differently. So let's say you have 1 in a circle, and the opposite, underneath, the other side would be 1 in a square. What you want to do then is you must have each one of them alternating. Okay, so that would be this side. The next one, you'd flip it over. And what you'd have there would be 2 and a square. 3 would be like that. Next one, flip it over. 4 and a square. This one, 5 with that side. So that is extremely important. The reason is that looking at the rib on the end, but say it's like this, the grain, say for 1, would be like this, okay? Now, grain number 2, or rib number 2, when you would have it flipped over so it would be the circle, like the same orientation, it would be the same, it would be like that, right? But when you flip it over, the grain goes like this. Okay, so what you have is each rib has to have either the grain going that way, they have to alternate. You can't have them going the same. Now the reason why that is that once you put the varnish on it, like depending on which direction the grain is going, it will reflect the light back to your eyes in a different way. Okay, so that you can get a very beautiful effect when that way the light reflects back to your eyes. Different for each rib is different. I mean, it's opposite, and that, especially with lighter, with cherry, for example, it's a very beautiful effect. So that's important. Okay, so I think that's it all for now. Bye.